Hello and welcome to our presentation into our case study on the user experience, interaction design, and automotive design for autonomous vehicles for Las Vegas Smart City Tourism. So we'll be going over our design process shown here shortly, but we'd first like to introduce our team. We are a cohort of 4 undergraduate UX researchers at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, mentored under Dr. Sang So in his UX research lab. I'm Marco Cater, the primary researcher, and I will soon be joined by Daniel Lee, our main storyteller, Janelle Braza, our interior automotive designer, and Chanel Staliga, our exterior automotive designer. So, for some context and to define some terms, the shift from the early to mid 2020s has had rapid development in emerging technologies, most notably artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. Both AVs and smart cities have had newfound feasibility. Smart cities being urban areas that employ information technology to improve the quality of life in cities. Smart cities also have a big need for an intelligent transportation system to save time and maximize the use of infrastructure. For the purposes of this presentation, we'll be referring to smart cities as urban areas in which a majority of people opt out of their personal vehicles and opt into using shared AV fleets for transportation. Despite these really exciting technological advancements, the UX and practical design of these smart city AVs are still in their infancy and will be the focal point of this research. So, our research question asks, how ought smart city AV fleets be designed with users in mind? And furthermore, our research hypothesis suggests that if Las Vegas were to become a smart city, then it is possible to propose conceptual UX solutions that address tourism challenges in smart city AVs. I'll be going over our two primary research objectives. The first is really to further the research, discussion, and literature regarding the UX and automotive design of AVs intended for smart city tourism. The other is to synthesize and bridge the gap between modern versus future perceptions and expectations out of autonomous transportation. So surprisingly, in our literature review, the literature on the UX of AVs and smart cities was extremely scarce. So we had to shift into approach that was more general to specific. So that is to say that we gathered tools from the interconnected fields of human-computer interaction, human factors, interaction design, and user experience to meaningfully design our UX solutions. So the bulk of our design solutions were informed by 6 primary tools, which were the goal gradient effect, that people like to see progress, Hicks law, that to speed up decision making means to reduce the complexity and number of choices, peak end rule, where it's not just about the average experience over time, but the peak experience. The human factors dirty dozen, where several factors can increase or decrease users making errors. Fitts law, where the size and distance of interactable targets matter. And the most fundamental of all, Nielsen's usability heuristics, in which several factors such as error prevention and minimalistic designs benefit user convenience and usability. So, alongside our literature review, we also conducted an initial survey on autonomous transportation. So, with 50 plus respondents, we really wanted to gather a baseline for modern day perceptions, expectations, and preferences for autonomous transportation. So, our biggest takeaway is that we got a ranked order of user preferences, preferring time efficiency, cost effectiveness, perceived safety, comfort, and then accessibility in that order. Respondents also shared a strong dislike for transportation that was unreliable and lacked interior adjustability features such as adjusting your chair or the temperature of the cabin. So I'll be handing it off to Daniel Lee, our main storyteller.
Hello, and I'll be taking over from Marco in introducing Volt, which is our conceptual autonomous vehicle company for Las Vegas, which places a huge emphasis on user experience. So this conceptual company will guide our design choices along the way and a lot of our resolutions for the issues that come up. And this company is intended to help transport tourists and support Las Vegas becoming a smart city. And the transportation will be mostly from the airport to the hotels, down the strip, and just the most populated places for tourists to be. Las Vegas is not currently transforming into a smart city. However, this abstraction will guide our problem solving, and these innovations can't be implemented without the use of a smart city. But that is how we have guided our problem solving using this abstraction. So, firstly, within our user personas, I want to mention that all 4 of our user personas are within one friend group, and they'll be traveling together in the summertime towards Las Vegas to as a vacation and to visit and explore the area. So our first user persona is Sang-Hoon Lee, who's a 25-year-old grad student in a relationship with Kang Bora, which is another user persona that we'll see later. And he works as a restaurant waiter while pursuing a master's in business administration. And he's located in Gunpo, South Korea, and is fluent in Korean but still learning English. So the most important aspects of this user persona is that he is pretty sociable, not too much, but he's open to new and different ideas, and he's pretty tech savvy. So his goals and needs are that he seeks a convenient and efficient mode of transportation. He desires a comfortable, relaxing ride with pleasant ambiance and wants to make the most of his Las Vegas experience. So some of his frustrations are that it's his first time using an AV, public transportation, autonomous vehicles, and he might be overwhelmed being in the US for the first time. There's a lack of user personalization in public transportations whenever traveling as well. So he's frustrated about that, and we're hoping to fix these issues as well. The second user persona is Kangbora, which is the girlfriend of Sang, as mentioned earlier, and is age 24, a college graduate, and is working as a teacher currently in Gyeongpo, South Korea, is fluent in Korean and is learning English much like Sang. She's a lot more sociable than Sang, but is a little bit less open to new and different ideas and a lot less tech savvy. So her goals and needs are that she seeks a hands-free ride experience to interact with her friends and view the Las Vegas Strip. She desires an easy-to-understand ride experience with many explorable, personalized options and wants to be able to sightsee while riding in the car, which will be possible as shown later on the line. Her frustrations are that she lacks a full English comprehension, which makes it hard to traverse through Las Vegas. The lack of large accessible group public transportation makes it harder to travel around Las Vegas. As you know, Las Vegas doesn't have that many accessible public transportation compared to other big cities, and has some safety concerns. As she's a little less open to new and different ideas than Sang, we can see why this is the case. Our next user persona is Park Jung-suk, who is a 25-year-old grad student working to pursue a master's in hospitality, who is in a relationship, as you'll see again with the next user persona. He's currently located in Gyeongpo, South Korea as well. He's fluent in both English and Korean, very sociable and open to new and different ideas, but a lot less tech savvy. So the goals and needs of Park Jung-suk is that he seeks a hands-free ride experience to interact with his friends and view the Las Vegas Strip, as he loves being sociable. He desires an easy-to-understand ride experience with many explorable and personalized options and wants to make the most of their Las Vegas experience. So the frustrations that he faces is that he's struggling from Las Vegas summertime heat. If any of you guys or anybody here has experienced Las Vegas summertime heat, we all know that it's pretty unbearable. And the lack of large accessible group public transportation makes it hard to travel with his friend group, as mentioned earlier again. And the lack of user personalization in public transportation when traveling is an issue for him as well. So the last user persona that we have here is Kim Bada, who's 26 years old, who has a Master's of Science in Computational Science, and is currently taken in a relationship with Park. As mentioned before, she works as financial analyst in Gyeongpo, South Korea, and is fluent in Korean but does not know English very well or at all. So she's a lot less social and open to different ideas, but because of her major and degree, she's very tech savvy, and her goals and needs are that she seeks a comfortable, efficient ride with space for herself. She values space for herself, so these kind of amenities will be important for her. She desires amenities again to charge all of her devices and wants technology integrated with rides for ease of use. So some of her frustrations are that it's her first time using AV public transportation. It's hard to focus and relax during car rides with people, including friends, which she values herself privacy and space. And she is concerned about safety as she is a lot less open to new and different ideas. She might have some fears about that. So let's get into our storyboard. So our group arrives at the airport in Las Vegas, Harry Reid Airport, and they're looking for Volt AV. And they're easily able to find Volt AV because of the lights that come up and the different identification methods that we will showcase later down the line in this presentation. Enter the vehicle, Sang goes in and scans his face and QR code to enter, and the doors open for them all to enter Volt AV. Now we see Park placing luggage under the counters, which all of them will do as well because the counter space, underneath the counter space allows for convenient and efficient use of placing all their luggage. And as you can see here, they are finding a seat, and the seat finding process is pretty simple as well, and will be mentioned down the line. And as you can see here, we have Bora putting in on her seatbelt and hanging personal items on the side, making it a lot more efficient to just have a space for you to hang your purse or a bag. And putting on the seatbelt is necessary because that's what will be the requirement for the car to start up. So we see Kim Pada adjusting her seats to make herself have more space and a lot more privacy. As you can see, these chairs offer that snug, compact space for you to have your own personal privacy in. And then, after all these amenities have been figured out, the AV starts heading to the hotel. It's important to note that in our ride, we also have these emergency buttons to stop in case of any emergency. And we see Park personalizing his ride with his screen. Like the other members, he really values personalization. And although he's not very tech savvy, the screens are very easy to access. And so he's able to use it here. And he's able to view the scenery and explore Las Vegas as he wanted during the ride. And he can view the information and scenery through the window. It's also important to note that on the counter spaces, there'll be amenities to charge phones and whatnot. So for Kimbada, while she's adjusting her seat, she could also access the amenities that she was wanting for her goals and needs. So then we see Bora getting up from her seat, and you can see that she's left her purse that she's hung up on a seat earlier. And the light indicator pops on to tell her that she's forgotten her personal item. She notices it, and she'll go get it as all the users get off with all of their luggage completely fine, and they arrive at the hotel of their destination, which fixes a lot of their issues with public transportation and getting around Las Vegas. So this was a simple process for them, and it was a very good user experience.
So going from our user storyboard to our user flowchart, during this abstraction process, we noticed different problems and expectations between before the ride, during the ride, and after the ride. This observation eventually would transform into our structure for our problem solving approach, subdividing user experience into pre ride, mid ride, and post ride. As you could expect, before and after the ride, users focus the most on locating their vehicle, seating, onboarding, and offboarding. Whereas mid ride, where users spend a majority of their time, focused on comfort, trip status, safety, and leisure. So I'll be handing off the presentation to Janelle, our interior automotive designer, and Chanel, our exterior automotive designer, to share their design solution prototypes.
First, we will be going over the pre-ride solutions. Seating preferences. People typically have issues with finding a seat in public transportation, such as their preferred spot already being taken, or the anxiety of trying to find a seat and then getting overwhelmed. With Volt, tourists don't have to worry about that. They have the option to choose their seats when booking an AV on either their mobile devices or kiosk, and Volt will pair them with an AV that best fits their seating preference.
In the pre-ride portion of the tourist experience, the exterior design really wanted to focus upon locating your ride. So in this phase, tourists will be paired with an automotive vehicle that will have the least amount of wait time, likely due to proximity of the tourist location. And we also wanted to make it easy to locate the assigned automotive vehicle from within a crowd. So doing so, the user will be able to create a customized code as well as an exterior lighting color. So not only is the tourist looking for a specific color, they're also able to locate the vehicle with added trust that it's a specific code that they made up. Of course, once they find their vehicle, they have to unlock and enter it. So in doing so, we offered three options: a QR code, manual keypad code system, as well as facial recognition. And of course, that's to accommodate for all technology knowledge levels, as well as convenience upon arrival. We don't know if the tourists might have their hands full or just wish to have a little more added security with a manual keypad. Of course, once the vehicle is unlocked, then a ramp is exposed with additional lighting for increased visibility, regardless of the time of day the pickup might be occurring. And the ramp is to also offer extra support for luggage, regardless of the amount of luggage the tourist might be traveling with. This is also to offer the ability for accessibility. Anyone who does need that additional ramp for entry is there for them.
Continuing on with onboarding, the first thing that tourists want to take care of when getting on public transport is their luggage. Some transports have a specific spot for luggage that's far from the tourist seat, or tourists have to hold onto it the entire trip. The luggage compartments in Volt AVs are on board and under the side railings. Tourists will go to their assigned seats and manually put them where they like. And with this design, all luggage will be visible and within reach of where they will sit. Tourists do not need to hold them as the flooring will be designed to prevent sliding while the vehicle is in motion. There is also enough space for multiple luggage or other big personal belongings like a stroller or duffel bag. Next, we'll be going over mid-ride solutions. One of the biggest UX issues in public transportation is the lack of personal space. It's always cramped with luggage, and the number of passengers can be pretty overwhelming, with almost no distance from each other. And also, there's tourists that feel pretty uncomfortable sitting next to strangers. For luggage, as I mentioned before, luggage will never be an issue in Volt AVs as they have their own space under the side railings. Overall, the AV's layout is very spacious. There is more than enough space for tourists to move their seats to create more or less distance from others. If tourists want to feel like they're in their own world, they can rotate their seat in a direction that is looking away from others. Amenities. Most public transport has a lack of amenities. For tourists, the amenities available can impact their impression of Las Vegas. Volt has a few amenities that are extremely helpful for tourists. For tourists who are holding drinks or bottles, there are cup holders on the side railings. For tourists whose batteries for their phones or devices and it was drained during their flight or event, they can do a quick charge before they get to their next destination. Comfort. Since Volt AVs are designed to aid a variety of tourists, we designed the seats to be comfortable for as many people as we can. We focused a lot on customization since every tourist has different comfort preferences. The AV seats can be adjusted in different ways. This includes the headrest, footrest, height, tilt, rotation, and how forward or backward the seat is.
The exterior really wanted to bring comfort forward. In doing so, we have the panoramic windows that embody the top half of the vehicle. This creates a seamless view of the Las Vegas cityscape throughout the tourist's entire ride, so that way they can enjoy not only the convenience that Las Vegas offers, but also just enjoy the scenery and really take in their stress-free environment. And within those windows, we also offer rain, light, and heat sensors that will automatically enable necessary weather and environmental adjustments. And that's just to further accentuate and bring home that comfort focus goal that the exterior wanted to achieve. There are additional sensors as well across the entire vehicle that allow for optimized route detection for further insurance that the tourist will be undisrupted in their ride from pickup to drop off.
Window view. A good portion of tourists prefer having a seat in public transport, one of the main reasons being for the sightseeing. Volt is designed to maximize as much window space as possible so that all passengers have an enjoyable viewing experience no matter where they sit. Live trip status. So, Volt has two digital display options that tourists can use to access their live trip status, one being the seat's touchscreen and the other being the windows. There may also be other information that can be beneficial for tourists, such as the weather, current events happening in Las Vegas, and what places they are close to at that moment. This brings full clarity and transparency to their trip. And there are also speakers in the Volt AVs, and that will help keep all passengers up to date about what's the next stop. And by having these live trip status features, tourists can maximally enjoy the entire ride.
Of course, in this portion of the mid-ride phase, we also wanted to bring home that safety and security for the user, and we brought that in with the adjustable smart tints idea. And this is really to account for any personalized privacy preferences that can be set by the user within the app, as well as the AI technology to be able to account for weather and temporal changes, such as excessive heat, especially during Las Vegas summer months, but also to accommodate for the time of day that the tourist might be taking this ride. And so if it's daytime and it might be just a little bit too bright, adding a little extra tint for visibility for the interior interactive panels, as well as lowering visibility for those, again, really bright days. In addition to those sensors within the panels, we also have 20 different sensors and radars across the entire exterior of the vehicle. And this is really to allow the AI technology to safely navigate vehicles throughout active traffic conditions at any time of day, as well as assess and execute any necessary safety protocols. Pedestrians, bicyclists, motorcyclists, any vehicle entity that might be entering the proximity of the vehicle a little too quickly or dangerously, it'll be detected, and passengers can definitely trust that. Of course, with all those sensors in mind, we can't necessarily anticipate flat tires, vehicle malfunctions, so we did develop a detachable chassis idea, and this is essentially to allow for further comfort undisruption. And so from there, the cabin is completely removed from the chassis and is able to be swapped from one to the other and efficiently getting that vehicle back on the road.
And finally, the post-ride solutions. When passengers arrive at their destination, they often feel like they're in a hurry to offboard because they feel like they don't have much time or they just want to get on with their plans after a long, exhausting trip. However, with that, many passengers face the issue of forgetting one or more of their belongings. Using cameras and sensors, Bolt will scan and detect if passengers leave any of their belongings and notify them before leaving, either visually with lights, audio, or by sending a message to their devices. Tourists will never have to worry about forgetting something or going through the hassle of contacting Lost and Found. And another thing with offboarding, when arriving at a destination, the doors will unlock and open upon arrival. They will only close once the tourists for that destination have left.
Of course, with those repairs in the post-ride that we spoke about earlier, the post-ride phase for the exterior design really had vehicle maintenance in their um, focus. So once the ride is complete, the vehicle will either continue to the next tourist in the pickup queue or return to the auto body shop for recharging and necessary repairs or maintenance. And that's something that is determined by the AI technology during the post-ride diagnostics. And from there, the vehicle is taken care of and sent on its way. Thanks so much.
So, shifting into our major findings. From the initial survey, respondents ranked AV expectations in the following order, valuing time efficiency, cost effectiveness, perceived safety, comfort, and then accessibility. In our research, the literature on the UX of smart city AVs is extremely scarce, and in the user flow abstraction, there were distinct differences in the expectations before, during, and after AV transportation.
When designing our prototypes, there were several major findings that we countered. First being the comfort and interior adjustability for weary tourists was paramount. We were leaning into the Las Vegas tourist theme. That meant having plenty of windows for the viewing of the city, an emphasis on vehicle lighting to match the city's nightlife, and the flexibility with charging capabilities to keep up with peak demand. All of those small details are what help our vehicle best fit tourists specifically in Las Vegas and give them the best full experience. Since there are different kinds of tourists with unique needs and frustrations, it was challenging figuring out what UX features Volt needs to accommodate as many tourists as we can.
So, going into our conclusions, the literature of AVs in smart cities is extremely scarce, so we suggest embracing a bottom up, general to specific approach to this topic. Furthermore, the subdivision of AV UX problems into pre ride, mid ride, and post ride helped break down issues during our problem solving process into smaller pieces. Additionally, bridging the gap between modern and future expectations of AV transportation is difficult, but timeless principles and user experience, human computer interaction, human factors, and interaction design have helped guide our empathic solutions. Lastly, we assert that AV fleets for smart cities should be designed to match the theme and energy of their respective city, whether that be sightseeing, nightlife, and or extreme temperatures. So we'd like to share a bit of the future of this research. We're going to continue polishing our prototypes and continue with our research. We plan to submit for the design journal of this conference, as well as the research journal of our university. Here are a couple of our citations. And on behalf of UX Research Design Lab, we'd like to thank you for your time and interest into our UX case study on autonomous vehicles for smart city tourism. Thank you.